Have you ever stopped to think about what truly causes the passing of most people after the age of 70, often without any clear warning signs? Many assume that death in old age comes with dramatic symptoms or intense pain, but the reality is far more subtle, and that's what makes it so dangerous. According to a study conducted in Chicago, the majority of deaths among seniors in their 70s and 80s are linked to a handful of slow-moving, silent conditions that often show no obvious signals until it's too late. In this first part, we'll explore the first two of these 6 common causes of death: cardiovascular disease and long-term lung damage, revealing why they go unnoticed, how they silently build over decades, and what steps you can take to recognize and address them before they become a crisis. The truth about aging is that it's not always the loud, dramatic illnesses that take people away. It's the quiet, gradual damage that accumulates over years, often ignored because the signs seem insignificant. These silent threats don't announce themselves with sirens or sudden pain. They creep in through missed signals, through habits we've dismissed as unimportant, through the small changes we attribute to just getting older. Yet understanding these risks isn't about fear. It's about empowerment. By naming the real dangers, you gain the ability to respond, to make small adjustments in how you live, how you monitor your health, and how you care for the body that has carried you this far. Awareness gives you the power to protect your future, ensuring that the years ahead are filled with vitality rather than vulnerability. The first silent killer we'll examine is the progression of cardiovascular disease, a condition that accounts for a staggering number of deaths among seniors, not because it's rare, but because it hides in plain sight. Cardiovascular disease doesn't always come with loud warnings. It develops quietly through the slow buildup of plaque in the arteries, the stiffening of blood vessels, and the gradual rise in pressure that accumulates year after year. The heart doesn't always signal its distress before it fails. Sometimes the first symptom is a sudden cardiac arrest, a devastating event that can strike without warning. Other times, it manifests as a stroke, arriving without pain but leaving behind irreversible damage that alters a person's life in an instant. The signs of cardiovascular disease can be subtle, so subtle that many seniors dismiss them as normal aging. Shortness of breath while climbing stairs, lingering fatigue that doesn't seem to lift, swelling in the ankles. These symptoms are often chalked up to getting older, never recognized as the body's desperate struggle to keep blood flowing where it needs to go. Consider the story of Harold, a 76-year-old man who seemed the picture of health. He was active, sharp, and walked every morning, maintaining what he thought was a decent diet. But one night, after a quiet dinner, he slumped over in his chair. By the time the ambulance arrived, it was too late. Unbeknownst to Harold, he had been living with high blood pressure for decades. He had stopped checking it, feeling fine, until the day he didn't. Harold's story illustrates how cardiovascular disease operates. It moves silently, gradually, until one day it isn't quiet anymore. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It simply strikes, often when you least expect it. But the good news is that this silent killer is also one of the most preventable. Regular screenings to monitor blood pressure and cholesterol levels can catch problems early, giving you a chance to act before they escalate. Staying active in ways that don't stress your joints, like walking or gentle stretching, helps keep your heart strong without overexertion. Being mindful of salt and sugar intake can reduce strain on your cardiovascular system, while paying attention to subtle signs like fatigue, a flutter in your chest, or pressure in your jaw or shoulder can prompt you to seek help before it's too late. These aren't just recommendations. They're lifelines. The older you get, the more important it is to take these signs seriously. That breathlessness you feel when you used to climb stairs with ease, the fatigue that lingers despite rest, the swelling in your legs, these may not be dramatic, but they're not meaningless. They're your body whispering before it screams, giving you a chance to act before the situation becomes dire. Avoiding this silent killer doesn't require perfection. It requires awareness. It requires paying attention when your body speaks, no matter how softly, because the cost of ignoring it can be the very years you've worked so hard to reach. Harold's passing serves as a sobering reminder. Cardiovascular disease doesn't wait for you to feel unwell. It progresses quietly, and only vigilance can stop it in its tracks. The second major cause of death after 70 is the long-term damage to the lungs, a process that unfolds differently from heart disease, but is just as insidious. The lungs don't burst or shut down in a single moment. They wear down slowly, silently, until one day you realize you're struggling to catch your breath after doing things that used to feel simple. After 70, the risks that come with this loss of lung function can be devastating. Respiratory failure, often caused by decades of smoking, pollution, untreated infections, or chronic conditions like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. COPD ranks among the leading causes of death for older adults. What makes it so dangerous is how gradually it creeps in, often mistaken for fatigue or the natural slowing down of age. You might notice the signs during daily activities, walking from the kitchen to the bedroom and needing to sit down, a persistent cough that never fully goes away, a wheeze at night, or tightness in your chest when you lie flat. These symptoms aren't always dramatic, but they're rarely meaningless. They're often signals that your lungs are no longer exchanging oxygen as efficiently as they once did, and this slow loss of oxygen affects everything. Your brain, your energy, even your heart. Take the example of Linda, an 82-year-old woman who never smoked a day in her life but spent years in a house where others did. She also lived in a city with poor air quality for decades, a combination that slowly eroded her lung function over time. Linda's lungs lost elasticity, and she developed what her doctor called restrictive lung disease, a condition that made it harder and harder to breathe deeply. She thought she was just slowing down, a natural part of aging, but in truth, her body was starving for oxygen. By the time she was diagnosed, her lungs were too scarred to recover fully, a stark reminder of how lung damage can go unnoticed until it's too late. Lung damage doesn't always come from a single source. Sometimes it's the flu that turned into pneumonia and never quite healed. Sometimes it's repeated exposure to chemicals or smoke, and sometimes it's just a lifetime of inflammation catching up with you. The damage builds silently, day by day, until one cold, one infection, or one flare-up pushes the lungs beyond what they can handle. Avoiding respiratory failure isn't just about steering clear of smoking, it's about recognizing patterns and taking proactive steps to protect your lungs. Staying current with flu shots and pneumonia vaccines can prevent infections that might otherwise take hold. Using a humidifier in dry seasons helps keep your airways moist, reducing irritation. Avoiding secondhand smoke in polluted environments is crucial, as is being consistent with inhalers or treatments. If you've already been diagnosed with a lung condition, most importantly, don't ignore breathlessness, even if it seems mild. The lungs don't have pain receptors. They don't shout when they're struggling. They whisper. If you listen closely, you can hear them early, before oxygen levels drop, before emergency room visits, before a decline sets in. Linda's story underscores the importance of paying attention to your breath. It's one of the few things in life that tells the truth without speaking. Her condition might have been caught earlier if she had recognized the signs for what they were, rather than attributing them to age. Protecting your lungs after 70 isn't about living in fear. It's about living with awareness. It's about understanding that the slow, silent damage accumulating in your lungs can have profound consequences if left unchecked. By taking small steps to support your respiratory health, you can ensure that your lungs continue to serve you well, allowing you to breathe deeply and live fully in the years ahead. These first two causes, cardiovascular disease and lung damage, highlight a critical truth. The most dangerous threats to seniors often go unnoticed because they don't come with obvious warnings. They build over decades, hiding behind symptoms that seem minor or normal for aging. But with awareness comes power. By recognizing the signs of these silent killers and taking proactive steps to address them, you can protect your health and extend your vitality. As we move forward, we'll explore the remaining causes of death after 70, including the hidden toll of mismanaged diabetes and the surprising danger of falls, offering practical strategies to safeguard your future. Having explored the silent threats of cardiovascular disease and lung damage, we now turn to two more insidious causes of death after 70 that often go unnoticed until their damage is irreversible. These threats, mismanaged diabetes and undetected cancer, operate quietly, chipping away at the body's foundations over years, often without clear warning signs. In this second part, we'll uncover how diabetes silently erodes vital systems, leading to devastating complications, and how certain cancers can grow undetected, becoming deadly before they're discovered. By understanding these risks and learning how to recognize their subtle signs, you can take proactive steps to protect your health and ensure that these silent killers don't define your later years. The third cause of death after 70 is one of the most underestimated health threats, not because it's rare, but because its effects are often invisible until they spiral out of control. Mismanaged diabetes. Diabetes doesn't always announce its damage with a single dramatic event like a heart attack or stroke. Instead, it shows up in smaller, quieter ways that can be easy to dismiss. High blood sugar levels, left unchecked over decades, slowly wear down the body's systems, damaging nerves, kidneys, eyesight, and the ability to heal. For many seniors, it's not the diabetes itself that becomes fatal, but the cascade of complications it triggers, from infections to organ failure, that can lead to a rapid decline. The signs of diabetes can be subtle, often mistaken for normal aging. Numbness in the feet, slow healing from cuts, sudden changes in vision or fatigue that doesn't go away with rest. These may seem minor at first, but they're often indicators of something deeper. High blood sugar damages blood vessels, making it harder for organs to function properly, and as the body's ability to heal diminishes, even small issues can escalate into major problems. Consider the story of George, a 79-year-old man who was always active and fairly lean, never thinking of himself as someone at risk for diabetes. After a routine checkup, he learned that his blood sugar had been elevated for years, a fact he hadn't noticed because he felt fine, until the damage became undeniable. Within 2 years of his diagnosis, George developed kidney problems, nerve pain in his legs, and a foot wound that wouldn't heal. That wound led to an amputation, and from there his health declined rapidly. Not because of the foot itself, but because of the complications that followed: infection, immobility, and deep emotional strain. Diabetes is like water slowly leaking behind a wall. You don't see the damage until it has already compromised the structure. After 70, the stakes are even higher. Wounds take longer to heal, infections are harder to fight, and complications can spiral faster than they would have decades earlier. George's story is a stark reminder that diabetes doesn't wait for you to feel unwell. It progresses silently, and only vigilance can halt its path. The good news is that even small steps can change the trajectory of diabetes. Regular A1C testing and blood sugar monitoring can catch problems early, giving you a chance to act before complications arise. Moving your body every day, even through short walks or chair exercises, helps regulate blood sugar levels and improve circulation. Being mindful of carbohydrates and hidden sugars in your diet can prevent spikes that damage your system over time. Watching for signs like swelling in the legs, sudden changes in urination, or persistent fatigue can prompt you to seek help before the situation escalates. These aren't burdens, they're signals, and the sooner you respond, the more power you have to protect what still works beautifully inside you. You don't have to be perfect to live well with diabetes. You just have to be aware. If you've never been diagnosed but have noticed any of these signs, or if you've gone years without a checkup, it's never too late to ask your doctor for a simple test. In many cases, it's not the diagnosis that shortens life. It's the years of silence that came before it. George's experience highlights the importance of paying attention to your body's whispers, even when they seem insignificant. By taking proactive steps to manage diabetes, you can prevent its quiet damage from stealing the years you've worked so hard to reach, ensuring that your later years are filled with vitality rather than struggle. The fourth cause of death after 70 is equally deceptive, often growing silently until it's too late to intervene: undetected cancer. Unlike other conditions, cancer in older adults doesn't always begin with pain or obvious symptoms. Some of the most dangerous types, such as pancreatic, colon, or prostate cancer, can develop for months or even years without causing noticeable issues, making them particularly deadly. By the time they're discovered, they're often far along, having quietly taken root while life went on as usual. This lack of early warning signs is what makes cancer so dangerous after 70, but it's also what makes awareness and vigilance so crucial. The signs of cancer can be subtle, easily dismissed as part of aging: sudden loss of appetite, unexplained weight loss, new fatigue, or discomfort that doesn't go away. These changes might not seem alarming at first, but they can be signals of something deeper. Take the story of Joyce, an 83-year-old woman who had always been healthy and independent. She started noticing some bloating after meals and a general sense of fullness that wasn't typical. Her appetite dipped slightly, and her pants began to feel looser. Friends told her it was just aging, but something inside her felt otherwise. She decided to get checked, and doctors found ovarian cancer, advanced but still treatable. Joyce later said the hardest part wasn't the diagnosis. It was knowing how easily she might have ignored it. Joyce's story underscores the importance of listening to your body. Even when the signs seem minor, many seniors skip screenings, not out of neglect, but out of fear, inconvenience, or the belief that it's too late to matter. But the truth is, early detection, even after 70, can make a world of difference. A simple colonoscopy can catch polyps before they turn cancerous. A low-dose CT scan can detect lung cancer early in former smokers, and a PSA test or physical exam can identify prostate issues before they spread. Blood work can sometimes flag issues long before symptoms appear, giving you a chance to act when treatment is most effective. Avoiding cancer isn't always about prevention. It's about attention. Paying attention means noticing changes in your energy, digestion, appetite, or weight that seem unusual. It means trusting your gut when something feels off, even if you can't quite put your finger on it. It means letting go of the belief that if you feel fine, you must be fine. After 70, health isn't just about adding years, it's about protecting the ones you have left with knowledge and vigilance. No one wants to think about cancer, but thinking about it for a few minutes now could mean many more good years later. Joyce's decision to listen to her instincts saved her life, proving that when it comes to cancer, silence favors the disease, not the person. By speaking up and seeking answers, you can ensure that cancer doesn't remain undetected until it's too late. These two causes, mismanaged diabetes and undetected cancer, highlight the deceptive nature of silent killers after 70. They don't come with loud warnings or dramatic symptoms. They build slowly, often hiding behind signs that seem normal for aging. But with awareness comes the power to act. By recognizing the subtle signals of diabetes and cancer, and taking proactive steps to monitor and address them, you can protect your health and prevent these conditions from defining your later years. As we move into the final part, we'll explore the remaining causes of death after 70, including the risks of infections and falls, offering practical strategies to safeguard your future. In the previous sections, we've uncovered the silent threats of cardiovascular disease, lung damage, mismanaged diabetes, and undetected cancer, conditions that quietly undermine the health of seniors after 70. Now we turn to the final two causes of death that are equally deceptive, often overlooked because they seem preventable or benign: severe infections due to weakened immunity and falls that trigger rapid decline. In this concluding part, we'll explore how a weakened immune system can turn common infections into life-threatening crises, and how a single fall can set off a devastating chain of events. By understanding these risks and learning how to address them, you can take control of your health, ensuring that your later years are marked by vitality rather than vulnerability. The fifth cause of death after 70 stems from a reality of aging that many seniors don't fully grasp. The immune system weakens over time, making the body more susceptible to infections that a younger person might easily overcome. As we age, the immune system becomes slower to respond, less efficient at recognizing threats, and more easily overwhelmed by infections that once seemed minor. After 70, common infections like pneumonia, urinary tract infections, skin infections, or even the flu can spiral into sepsis or organ failure within days, not because the infection is unusual, but because the body's defenses are no longer as strong. What starts as a cough can become a crisis. What begins as a fever can end in a hospital bed with IVs and oxygen. The signs of infection in older adults aren't always dramatic, which is what makes them so dangerous. Sometimes it's just confusion, a slight change in behavior, increased fatigue, or difficulty waking up, symptoms that are often mistaken for normal aging, delaying treatment until it's too late. Consider the story of Walter, an 85-year-old man who was healthy, alert, and walked every day. One morning, he felt a little tired and attributed it to poor sleep. By the afternoon, he had a mild fever. By the next morning, he was confused and unsteady. His family rushed him to the ER, where he was diagnosed with a urinary tract infection that had spread to his bloodstream. Walter was fortunate, he recovered, but his experience serves as a stark reminder of how quickly things can change after 70. Infections are often preventable, and when caught early, they're highly treatable. Staying hydrated helps flush out potential infections before they take hold, while keeping wounds clean and washing hands regularly reduces exposure to harmful bacteria. Staying up to date on vaccines, such as those for the flu and pneumonia, can prevent infections that might otherwise become serious. Listening to your body is key, checking for fever, not ignoring sudden changes in mental sharpness or energy, and seeking help early can catch infections before they escalate. The immune system may slow with age, but that doesn't mean you're helpless. It just means you need to act sooner. Pay closer attention and trust your instincts when something feels off. Walter's recovery shows that awareness can be the difference between a manageable illness and a life-threatening crisis. The sixth and final cause of death after 70 is perhaps the most underestimated, yet it's one of the most preventable: falls and fractures that trigger a rapid decline. Falls may not sound serious after all, people trip and stumble all the time. But for older adults, a single fall can start a downward spiral that's hard to recover from. It's not just about broken bones, it's what happens afterward. The immobility, the hospitalization, the infections, the loss of confidence, and sometimes the loss of independence altogether. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death for adults over 70, a statistic that doesn't often make headlines, but should. More often than not, a fall could have been prevented with small changes to the home, the body, and daily routines. Think of Carol, an 80-year-old woman who tripped on a rug in her hallway, fracturing her hip. Surgery followed, then rehab, but she never quite regained her balance. She became hesitant to walk far, then stopped going out altogether. Her muscles weakened, her mood dropped, and within a year, she was living in assisted care, not because of illness, but because of a single misstep. Falls don't always result from clumsiness. Sometimes it's from medications that affect balance, poor lighting in the hallway, socks on hardwood floors, a bathroom without grab bars, or simply trying to carry too much at once. Once the fall happens, the body takes longer to heal, and the mind takes even longer to recover its confidence, setting the stage for a decline that's hard to reverse. Preventing falls isn't about living in fear, it's about foresight. Strengthening your legs with light exercises, like chair squats or walking, can improve stability. Getting regular vision checks ensures you can see obstacles clearly, while clearing clutter from walkways reduces tripping hazards. Adding night lights, non-slip mats, and handrails to your home creates a safer environment. And wearing proper shoes, even indoors, provides better traction. Most importantly, listen to that little voice that says, "Maybe I should sit down instead of pushing through." Falls can break more than bones. They can break routines, independence, and the will to move freely. Carol's story shows that a little awareness, a little preparation, and a little humility in asking for support can preserve not just your safety, but your freedom. As we reflect on these 6 causes: cardiovascular disease, lung damage, diabetes, cancer, infections, and falls, one truth becomes clear. Life after 70 isn't just about avoiding death. It's about understanding where real danger lies so you can protect what matters most. This isn't about fear, but about awareness. Not about dramatic change, but about small, deliberate actions that strengthen your body, sharpen your mind, and give you control over what many believe is uncontrollable. The heart doesn't have to fail quietly. The lungs don't have to collapse without warning. Diabetes doesn't have to take your independence. Cancer doesn't have to remain undetected. Infections don't have to spread before you notice, and falls don't have to define your final chapter. Each of these causes shares a common trait. They often begin without pain, without panic, without fanfare. But they're not invisible. You just have to know what to look for, and now you do. This exploration wasn't about gloom, it was about power. The power of paying attention, the power of asking questions, the power of believing that even after 70, your health isn't on autopilot. It's something you can influence, nurture, and defend. You deserve that, because the years behind you were hard-won, and the years ahead still hold value, beauty, and meaning, but only if you stay here for them. By listening to your body's whispers and taking small steps to address these risks, you can ensure that your later years are filled with the vitality you've earned.